The specimen I'm about to expose you to is extraordinarily cringe, like this SCP weirdo that I'm about to unleash before your eyes. But I want you to take this as an inspirational motivator because somehow this goober was able to get into a serious relationship for the last 7 months. And if he can do it, anybody can. Alright, now let's begin our journey. This is a 26-year-old woman communicating with her 29-year-old boyfriend. Now, the previous night they had an argument, which we'll get into in a moment because it's crucial to the lore here of what unfolds. Now, this is the next day. She says, "Had some honey chicken with rice and broccoli from blank. How about you?" He responds with a Naruto gif, which is already an incredible start here, and goes, "That sounds good. I had a muffin and cheese lol, by the way. The call yesterday really sucked, but the New Year's Eve call was very nice." She says, "I know lol." And then for some reason he decides to pour salt in the wound. He just digs the knife a little deeper, letting her know that it was probably the worst call he's had, lol. To which she responds, "Alrighty. Well, that makes me feel great. I'm heading to bed. Love you, good night." For some reason he thought it was a good idea just to remind her how much he disliked talking to her last night about what they were discussing. Oh man, that call last night, that was the pits. Jesus Christ, am I right, you fucking harpy? Last night's call was horrible. The New Year's Eve call was a little bit better, but goodness gracious, heavens to Betsy, the call before that, fucking atrocious. And then he'll probably drop another Naruto gif. This time it's like an Itachi one casting a genjutsu. Don't ever do it again. But anyway, the argument they had on the call before these text messages was about her mentioning that she might want to try shrooms at some point. It was basically talking about drugs and how she's not interested in drugs, but the only one she has even an iota of interest in trying is shrooms like one time. And he took a very hard stance against that. It was like he was a fucking DEA agent here. I'll drop the information right here if you want to pause and read it, but the gist of it is, she mentioned that shrooms at least sounded somewhat interesting to try at some point, though she was never really being serious about it, and if she ever did want to try it, she said that she would talk to him about it first before doing anything. It wasn't going anywhere, and eventually she just said, "You're right, I'm wrong, sorry," and tried to move on from the whole conversation. But it looks like that was never in the cards. It's weighed heavy on the mind of her boyfriend, who brings it up out of the blue again, just to remind her how awful the conversation was. In the follow-up message, he decides to just go whole hog and let it all hang out here to just reignite this argument. He says, "Yes, I say wrong stuff to you sometimes. I know I make mistakes, but not this time. I stand by what I said yesterday, and this time you were in the wrong. But I'm heading to bed. I love you. Good night." And she reminds him, like, "Hey, we fully discussed this last night. There was no reason to bring it up again except to attempt to make me feel bad. Just because you're in a bad mood doesn't mean you should try to bring me down with you." She's 100% right. They had already discussed it. There is no reason to keep doing this again, this song and dance. Just let it be. But he just can't do that. "I know, but this is serious shit." And then he censors the word shit. He puts stars on his swear word, like he's a 12-year-old in Twitch chat that has the language filter on. This is a 29-year-old man who is censoring the word shit. And we've only just begun with the exceptionally wacky stylings of this 29-year-old fucking goober. If you use any substitute, I am done with you. And I'm sorry I say this because I care about you too much, and you're much worth more. And you're much worth more. I don't, that's all over the place. I think he was just so angry. I mean, he dropped the word shit. You could tell his temper was flaring up. He used a naughty word, so I think he was just scrambling to say words in a panic. And then she just goes, "I'm not talking about this." It's fine if you don't have the mouth of a sailor, but why censor it? Just don't even use the word. You could have said poop. This is some serious poop, milady. You're talking about drugs. Unacceptable. Why even bother censoring yourself? Oh, it's so cringe. And we've only just begun. She says there's no reason to go over this again. We talked about it. It's over. Drop it. Really just trying her best to move on from this because it's only going to get worse. But he's already too deep. He's already made his bed and it's time to piss his pants in it. "Okay, but promised me you won't do it and I will drop the whole thing." She again reminds him, "I already fucking told you I wouldn't do anything without talking to you first. Leave it alone. I'm done with this conversation." But it's just not registering in his mind. His neurons are just firing and he's going into flight or fight mode and he's fighting his own demons here. Don't get angry at me just because you had a drug problem in past. That's not my problem. That's your problem. Which is a crazy fucking thing to say to your significant other. Jesus. And she goes, bro, you're being dense right now. Just shut up and leave it alone. This isn't a conversation to be had over text, and we already talked about it on the phone. Just drop it, dude. Now, if you pause to read the explanation for the context around these messages, you'll know that the drug problem he's referring to is her smoking weed when she was 19 and the one time she tried cocaine. That's the drug problem to this guy. He speaks as if he's like a 14-year-old boy who just had a class on Dare, and now he is scared. He can't sleep anymore. He has to go to bed with one eye open and Narcan on the dresser next to him, just in case a burglar comes in and tries to force him to OD on drugs. Like drugs are out to get him and everyone he cares about. And he just keeps spiraling. You have to change that blank. He's literally beeping himself with a sensor. You have to change that beep, stupid attitude. And I'm not your beep, bro. And I'm not your beep, dude. Maybe that's why wow, that's hard to read. The grammatical catastrophe that he's unleashed upon my eyes is really fucking with my brain. I'm not your beep, dude. Maybe that's what you'll call your beep friends. I don't give a beep. I'm not your beep friend. I'm not your beep ex's beep. Remember that. Like, what in the world is happening? This is the most childish text message I've ever seen in my life. It's like a kid melting down on League of Legends. This is a 29-year-old man. And he's speaking like this. He's a fucking boy. He's a baby boy. Why is he censoring his texts like this? Oh, it's so awful. It's so bad. I can't even parse what he's trying to say with his last statement there at the end. I'm not your fucking friend, which is, again, a wild thing to say to your significant other. You're supposed to be their best friend, basically. That's the whole point of being in the relationship, but whatever. But this is where it gets extraordinarily confusing. And I'm not your fucking ex's blank. Remember that. Your ex's what? Your ex's fuck? Remember that? Is that what he's saying? I don't know. What does that mean? And she says, I don't know what your problem is, but directing at me is not going to help. I'm not talking about this. I'm done responding for the night. Have a good one. And he just goes, we done. If you keep going. So full-blown caveman mode now. I will drop it now. Anyway, how's your day? From all of this into like immediately de-aggroing like an NPC in a video game. And he's like, oh, so how's your day? Did you have a good day today? I bet you did. I bet it's better now that you're talking to me, right? And then her response is, it was better before you started this. And then that once again sends him off. Well, that's your problem. I just don't want to crackhead girlfriend, and please don't call me bro. I'm not your stupid friends. What the crackhead girlfriend? What are you talking about? She mentioned that the only drug she'd be interested in trying is shrooms, and she wouldn't even actually do it because she doesn't have a real interest. That's just the only one that even sounded somewhat appealing. He's lost his marbles. He's off his gourd for this. And eventually she's like, just go to bed. You need a nap. You're not you when you're tired. And then he hits her with like a threat. It'll be really funny when you're 6 feet under. And she goes, oh boy, here we go again. And he says, anyway, enough of this. Now, I think he's referring to, if you try drugs, you're dead instantly. You'll instantly die if a drug touches your body. It'll put you 6 feet under instantaneously. Like, I don't know if he's actually threatening that he'll put her 6 feet under, but that is kind of how it reads. But I think what he's trying to say is that the drugs are going to kill her. And he's the only one that can save her from going down this destructive path. Now, obviously, and here's a hot take, drugs aren't good for you. But what he's doing here is an outrageous overreaction, and the way he's treating his girlfriend is unacceptable. He's just yelling and screaming at her like it's an episode of fucking Scared Straight. All over her going over a hypothetical of if she was to ever try a drug, she'd want it to be shrooms because that's the only one that sounds even somewhat interesting, but she doesn't even want to do it. She's not saying she's going to go do shrooms or anything like that. She's not going down this path to being a crackhead like he thinks she is. This is just ridiculous the way he's treating her over this. And don't even get me started on his potty mouth, all those nasty words he's been using here. But luckily for all of us, he's tastefully censored all of them for us. Clearly don't respect me. You think I'm a joke when I'm saying the truth. I wish just once you just listen to me. I think you're a joke, buddy. I'll say it. She won't, but I will. I think you are fucking cringe incarnate. She says, I'm listening. I'm just tired of you repeating it over and over when this whole thing was finished last night. Of course I don't want to hear it again. I dropped it. You should too. Leave it alone. And then he tries to play the saint again, like he's just looking out for her and it's all for her benefit. He's the angel. You know I say this because you are very important to me. Maybe no one tells you this, but I'm the first to tell you. And I always stick with my words. That's what I have to say. And I'm sorry if you hurt, but I had to say it. What a fucking hero. There's better ways of saying it. And apparently you'd already had this conversation the night before. And everything was settled then, but you just keep going. And she said, you didn't have to say it, lol, but okay, whatever makes you feel good. And now the demon comes back out again. Fuck do that, beep attitude. I'm telling you, if you keep doing this, I'm trying to be understanding, but you give me beep disrespect. Answer, I'm done with you. Fuck off. This mumbo-jumbo nonsense. Like, it's the episode of SpongeBob with the sailor words, basically, and he's censoring it in the text. It's so awful. And she goes, just remember, you brought this up, you started, I told you I wasn't talking about it anymore, but you're pushing it, I don't know what else to tell you. She is trying so hard just to move on from this, like, just give it up, just stop. Why does he keep going? Just stop. And then he drops another extremely mean, nasty insult, saying, no wonder your friend left you and your exes left you. What a huge piece of shit, just a horrible thing to say to anyone, let alone the person you are dating. And then she just goes, ouch, yeah, fuck you. And then he comes back with another confusing head scratcher. I was ready to drop it, but you keep fuck give me, bitch, just stop now. What am I reading? What is that sentence? Oh man, oh brother, this guy stinks. And then he's like, ooh, that wasn't nice and I'm sorry. So he has an immediate change of heart within 2 minutes. And then he's like, he goes full apology mode here to try and save this, even though it's unsalvageable. This is where the relationship should end 100%. He goes, I'm sorry for being an beep. I should have never said that. That was my fault. I really apologize. And thankfully, she shoots that garbage down. I really don't want to hear from you. Good night. And then he tries again to go really sweet talking, like, oh no, it's all a misunderstanding. Baby, I'm really sorry. That part I said, I didn't mean it. I'm really sorry. Anyway, baby, I'm so sorry. I should have thought more about your feelings, and at that time I wasn't thinking in that part I said was really not nice, but I love you. So he signs off with yet another completely incomprehensible, dumb, stupid text. But at least there was no censoring in the last part. He didn't use any foul language that needed to be, censored, because he's a classy guy. He wouldn't want any of those yucky words being uncensored in these texts. But yeah, as far as I can tell, she is planning on leaving him, according to the comments, I think. She said she's not going to give him another chance to show this side of him, which is good, because this relationship shouldn't continue past this point. That right there is the kibosh on it with the things he said about this. She didn't do anything wrong. She was just talking about a hypothetical. If she was to try a drug again, it would be shrooms because it's the only one that seems even somewhat interesting. But she even said multiple times she didn't want to, and she wasn't planning on it anytime at all, really. And this guy just had this crazy overreaction to it. So yeah, huge weirdo, big cringe guy. That's about it. So yeah.